Why is there poverty? Not enough. Not enough housing. People are charging more taxes and spending their money elsewhere instead of spending it on housing for people.
There's poverty because people don't have access to the resources that they need, and those resources are not just financial.
Like, not everybody gets the same opportunity from birth or from the jobs. Like, usually jobs require people to have, I guess, certain degree of education, which kind of categorizes people into different aspects, which, if you have a higher education, for example, you're more likely to get a better job, which kind of makes it unfair. There should be an opportunity for those that really don't have that chance, I guess, to go to post-secondary, because not everybody could really afford it.
Greed. I think it's because of greed. I think that somewhere along the line, people with privilege and people with money became greedy.
It's kind of like it's not real, just because of the colors. It's just a big mind trick over everyone.
Access to community, access to love and support, access to adequate housing and adequate jobs, access to dignity and access to feeling equal in our society.
Everyone should, inside of my type of point of view, I think we should all be treated as equals. I mean, we've all got the same exact type of blue vein on our wrist. We're all born with that.
I think that there's poverty because there's a lot of disconnect between systems, between people, between communities. And I think a lot of us, and I think the reason why poverty is continually so perpetuated and it's a structural problem is because we're unaware that it exists in so many instances.
It's just not fair, man. It's like just because somebody else is a different shade.
There is poverty because a lot of the time people don't know how to be human. It's hard to really understand why there's poverty, because if we were really human, if we really understood one another and we really were there for each other, we provided that love and that comfort and that understanding, there probably wouldn't be poverty anywhere.
I don't understand, why does somebody else get some sort of special treatment just because he is a certain shade, or how come I don't get a certain sort of type of aspect the same as him?
There's poverty because it's a generational cycle that continues to be unbroken due to government refusal to fund housing, education, and other basic needs.
And there's a lot of rich people around that are greedy about it, and they don't want to share the thing. They don't want to share their money. They're just greedy. They keep their money to themselves, and they don't share it.
It doesn't take just an individual. It takes a lot of people to come together to help make a change.
We need to not sugarcoat it in the community, right? Too many communities don't want to talk about what's really going on.
We need to build up our future generations in order to create a more sustainable economy. This includes providing education and stable homes, especially for youth born into poverty.
Kind of hard to see. You don't see it as much as, let's say, McDonald's commercial or all these things, which is kind of wrong. Though I feel like that should be first priority. People should be first priority over material, and giving people options of how to help is better than telling them, go eat this, or this is how you should live, type of thing.
Realizing there is enough for everybody, realistically, and I think we lose focus, Many people within their competition are trying to reinvent the wheel when there are already a lot of services and things that do work. So I think collaboration is a key to that. Collaboration, people working together to fill each other's voids, and putting the people we're serving first, right? Putting those people first.
We can end it by like providing more housing for people with a reasonable price. And
I think that we need to understand why poverty or certain groups of people are overrepresented in the homeless population. I think that we obviously need to build political will.
You know, in a way, like, people are scared, they're afraid of that sort of power where they'll be able to feel like they can actually be their own person. Like,
never ever gonna stop because it's hip hop that breathes through my veins, and I got nothing to complain about. But I be taking the bus, the train.
Going to the hidden places and the invisible people, and making sure that everybody is heard and everybody is seen.
This needs to be more continued action rather than just temporary fixes, band-aids.
The money that we're putting into temporary placements such as home mission, mustard seeds, etc., it's like putting a band-aid on a broken bone. There needs to be funding focusing on providing resources that address the root causes of homelessness and poverty, so addiction, abuse, and much, much more. And we need to work to correct these. These programs need to be unbiased of race, gender, or lifestyle, and aim to help all, because without this, the cycle will never end.
It'll start with children. It's got to start with teaching children.
We need grassroots efforts, bringing people together, using art, using community initiatives, and allowing people to say what it is that they need support with.
It's the right thing to do, it's the moral thing to do, and it kind of gives a brighter future for everybody, because
there's a lot of gangs, there's a lot of rape, there's a lot of trouble, a lot of people spending their money foolishly, like on stuff that they don't need in life. Like instead of needing like food, instead of spending their money on food or clothing, they spend it on drugs or alcohol.
It's not just the adults that suffer, it's the children.
Yeah, listen to the youth, because young people have such a fresh perspective, especially when it comes to issues of poverty, whether they've experienced it firsthand or not. I want to hear more youth voices, because they are the leaders of today, not of tomorrow. They're the leaders of right now, and we need to let their voices be heard.
we'll all just be like one big community.
We'll let this run for a minute.
It's such a strain on us as a human race, and I say that, I mean, if your focus is economics, certainly economically it's a strain, but I think it says a lot about the state of the world when we're disregarding people simply because they're not of our economic standing, and that we can literally have millionaires living, you know, across the street from those who don't even have enough to eat at night. I think it's a little bit horrifying. And
have such a trickle-down effect on crime and free up money and budgets from security and policing, and it would help take away from a society that's ruled by an iron fist.
And I see poverty as an affliction that really affects everybody in our communities and within our society, and therefore it is a community solution that will help to address and to eventually end it.
Everyone would be equal, you know, like everyone's got their own type of choice, their own type of voice, and then with everyone just being able to coascend with each other and instead of coexisting with each other, I think that'd be a lot more better. Like,
you can say hi to people and have them not wonder, well, are you gonna ask me for money next, or are you gonna jump me for my brand new iPhone? Or
and honestly, poverty just kind of brings down the society as a whole. It's just
Housing programs.
stopping it will, I don't know if people realize, will bring up the economy's being and the country's like perception So
poverty belongs in a textbook beside the other atrocities of the world, and I hope that we're coming to a day where that'll be a heading in a textbook, you know, and that's very idealistic, and I understand that. I totally do, especially when I'm talking about poverty from a structural standpoint, but that's my hope.